Van Gundy. He's doing analysis for Amazon now, Amazon Prime Video. Stan, welcome to the show. And let me start right there, actually. What's been the experience like working at Amazon? Because I wonder, for someone who's doing the game broadcast, is it pretty much the same no matter what network you work at?
Well, yeah, the broadcast itself is the same, and I'm working with, some people that I've worked with before. Ian Eagle, I worked with at TNT, so I'm used to working with him. We've got directors, producers, cameramen that I have worked for, but I really have enjoyed Amazon, the entire team. I think they're very committed to making this the best project possible, both in the studio and on game broadcasts. Obviously they're a tech company and they want to integrate more and more of that as time goes on. So I think it's going to be fantastic. And, I think it's like anything. I mean, you've worked in the NBA also, and now doing what you're doing. When you work with people who are committed to putting out a good product, it's tremendously motivating. And that's what I've experienced at the NBA on Prime so far.
Stan, I work with people right now who are committed to torturing Chris Cody. He had a challenge today, a punishment he had to do, where he had to eat 99 nuggets in the span of the show today. We have about less than 40 minutes to go in the show. He's at 66. Do you have any words of wisdom that you can share with young
I'm struggling,
Cody?
Stan.
Yeah, I don't think you're struggling. I think you've got this with no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think that this was a gimme. I would have.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have been betting on you all the way.
Would you go sauce or no sauce on the nuggets?
Oh, no sauce.
Really?
Yeah, you just don't need the you don't need the extra calories. I mean, you're looking for every bit of space you can get.
Chris, how do you feel?
I'm feeling like
Coach said he believes in you.
I feel like I did it though. 66. Pick up sticks. We're done here.
Can we get you to at least get to 70? Like 70.
70's right.
4 more nuggets, man.
Chris, you can get to 100. Come on,
All right,
man.
Stan.
Wow.
I appreciate the support.
Way to coach him up.
I like it.
70's a good. All right, I'll try for you.
All right.
Coach, good to see you. Hope you're well. What's your read on this entire Ja Morant situation? How do you see this thing playing out?
I have no idea. We've seen this so many times in so many sports, right? I mean, you get a star player who's clearly not happy about where he is. The thing that I think, Mike, more than anything is it's just really a shame because this guy was one of the true stars, still is playing in the league. But, I mean, he was a guy that everybody was excited about. And over the last 3 years, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's been one problem after another. And I think it's a shame. This guy was one of the bright, shining young stars of the NBA. And now it's just become a sideshow.
Hey, Coach, how much responsibility, if any, does Tomas Isalo have during this situation? Like, what is he supposed to do right now? He's been the coach for 8 games. Clearly, he's changing or wants to change the way the team plays, and his star player is making a mess of the situation. Like, what's he supposed to do?
Well, look, I mean, I have no idea what happened going into this. What you read says that last year, Tomas Isalo was brought in to, while Taylor Jenkins was still there, to change the offense, and Ja Morant didn't like the change of that offense. Now, how much they talked to him, explained what they were doing, I have no idea. But you're always going to have conflicts. I mean, that's just the way it is. You're going to have conflicts, and how you handle them is in large part going to determine the success of what goes on. I don't care where you are. There's nothing that is smooth and easy. I mean, you look at the Golden State Warriors, the dynasty of this era, in the NBA. And you know, there's great cohesion between Steve Kerr and, say, Draymond Green, but there have been a lot of bumps along the way. It's always going to be there. That's just the nature of highly successful people with big egos. And I don't say that as a negative. I don't look at big egos as a negative, but you have highly successful people with big egos who think they know best working together. There's going to be conflict, and you've got to learn to get through that conflict. So hopefully Memphis will be able to figure that out. Hopefully Ja Morant and Tomas Isolo will get on the same page, but it's just not easy.
Coach, one of the things that seems like the new wave around the league is these decentralized offenses that de-emphasize pick and rolls and ISOs and try to get more motion going. Miami's having great success with it, but also you look at the Knicks, you look at Chicago, Memphis to some extent. They're all kind of experimenting in this space. Why do you think traditionally we haven't had a lot of those types of offenses in the NBA?
Well, I think what's happened more than anything is the pace of the game has picked up so much that the coaches are teaching more concepts, principles offensively than running set plays and things like that. And so I think that's been the biggest thing. Now everybody, when they need a bucket, is still going to their stuff, their people, and trying to have more control over who's going to have the ball in their hands. But in general, we're just letting guys play. I think that the positive of that is that more people are involved offensively, which I think players enjoy. I think the downside of it is if you're a team that doesn't have a great depth of quality players, you can get yourself into trouble. You probably want to be back more where you're keeping the ball in the hands of the guys who can make plays. And so I think some of these teams trying to play that style with rosters who aren't good across the board end up looking worse than maybe they should.
Stan, even though it's just 7 games, what the Heat are doing right now, the scoring, how fast they're playing, it's a style of play we're not used to seeing them play here. Like I said, it's only 7 games, but have we seen enough to think that this is sustainable and they're going to be able to have success like this?
Yeah, I think so. Now, it depends on how you're going to define success. This is still not a championship level roster. I think what it is like it is every year, in my opinion, with Erik Spoelstra, is he's always going to find a way to maximize the talent he has on hand. And we've seen teams across his head coaching career play very, very different styles based on who he has had. And he's done it again. This is not a guy whose teams look the same year after year after year. He looks at his roster. He tries to figure out how to maximize it, and they have really tried to up-tempo this thing this year. And it's going to be really, really interesting to watch. I think it's sustainable because, especially at the offensive end, what they've done so far has been done without arguably their best offensive player in Tyler Hero. So I think when he comes back, it certainly makes it more sustainable. And I just love watching. Look, I'm biased because I worked with Erik for a long time, but I think even unbiased people, more neutral people, would tend to agree. I think it's always interesting watching Erik's teams and the way that he finds a way to maximize that talent.
Is anyone off to a slow start that you're especially surprised to see?
Well, I mean, there's always early in the year. Look, I think neither New York or Cleveland are off to great starts. Orlando, I thought was a team really on the rise, and I still do. I mean, we're just early, but they took another loss last night and are at 3-5. In the East, I think those teams, Minnesota in the West, has not been off to a good start. Now Anthony Edwards is hurt. I guess those would probably be the biggest surprises to me, but I wouldn't say nothing that happens in the first 8 games of the year is a surprise. Amin's been around it. I would be interested in his input on it. I got asked the other night on our broadcast by Ian Eagle how far into a season before you think you have a pretty good handle on who teams are, and I think 20 games. I think you've got to be a quarter of the way into the year, and even then, that's only if your team has been reasonably healthy before you know what you have. So 8 games into the year, I don't think a lot is really shocking. We'll just have to see how things play out.
Absolutely, Coach. I always like to remind people, 8 games into the year, this is like a game and a half into the NFL season. So if you were at halftime of game 2 of the NFL season, oh, everything's awful, everyone will call you overreacting there. It's the same thing for us at this point. 20 games is the same thing I've always gone with as far as feeling like you got a feel for a team.
Yeah, I totally agree. It takes time. And to be honest, I think it takes coaches that long to really know what they have. So we were just talking about Erik Spoelstra. Erik Spoelstra, he's going to go into the season with this plan and style of play, as all these coaches are, but there's always going to be tinkering. Now, he's not going to go back to walking the ball up the floor. That I would bet on. But there's always tinkering because you as a coach need time to figure out who your team is. Oklahoma City probably does not, and they know who they are. But a lot of these teams, you need time to figure out if what your plan was, if what you thought you had will actually materialize on the court. So we will see these teams change as the season develops. And I always think that's one of the most interesting things to watch, at least from a coaching standpoint for me, is the adjustments guys make as time goes on.
Coach, the Sixers are in a weird place because they have 2 windows that are open, right? They've got the young core that looks really good, but they also have PG and Joel Embiid, who doesn't look really good. Where do you see the Sixers this year?
That's a great question. We just had their game last Friday, and I think it's really interesting, especially in the PG part of it. Like Joel Embiid, you're going to just keep hoping his health comes around and that he can be a huge part of what you do. But the problem with the Paul George situation is, number one, I don't know where Paul is as a player at this point. As you get older, and especially when you're coming out a lot of the injuries, I don't know where he ranks as a player. What we do know is whatever minutes Paul George gets are going to take minutes from some of those really good young players, because let's remember, they've still got Jared McCain too. So you've got Maxey, Edgecombe, Jared McCain, Kelly Oubre's playing the best basketball of his career. Where are the minutes for all of these guys? And does Paul George getting 30, 32 minutes a night help you or hurt you in both the short term and the long term? Those will be decisions that Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse are going to have to figure out as time goes on. Do you move on from a guy like Paul George, see what you can get for him? Or do you think you've got a team that can contend in the East? I said going into the year, Philly was the biggest wild card in the NBA. A lottery team from last year, but with the talent they have, and Edgecombe early on has been even better than I expected. This team could be as good as any team in the East. If you just match up their roster right down the line, why would they not be able to compete with Cleveland and New York that people expect to be at the top? Now, the probability is they don't stay healthy. Let's face it, that's just been the history of these guys. But if they are, they're as good as anyone in the East.